The Entrepreneurial You is brought to you by JPS, powering what matters.
It's time to unleash the entrepreneurial spirit in you. Time to take that step towards leading and excelling in life and business. Whether you're starting with an idea or you're looking to scale up, there's something here for everyone. So, follow me on this journey of unleashing and celebrating the entrepreneur in you. This week on the Entrepreneurial You, the innovative Christopher Reckord is our featured business leader and new digital avenues for business marketing. We look at the latest in our Trending Now package. And in our startup stories, Nellas Foods JA is under the SME spotlight this week. Join us for this and more on today's episode of the Entrepreneurial You. Being an exceptional leader means more than having the ability to deliver results. It's also about the capacity to empower from the inside out. Christopher Reckord is one such businessman who leads with heart and expertise. Chris, Chief Executive Officer and Board Member for tTech Limited, a leading IT support organization, has over 30 years experience in the fields of information and communications technology and entrepreneurship. He is pioneering technical solutions to business operations and is leaving a lifelong legacy as a lifelong learner on his career journey. Christopher Reckord on the Entrepreneurial You. Christopher Reckord is the Chief Executive Officer for the Information Technology Support Organization, tTech Limited. For Chris, technology and innovation has had a direct impact on his life's path. His over 3 decades of work in the industry has seen him perform in the capacity of part owner and director of Innovative Corporate Solutions Limited, founding member and director of the Jamaica Technology and Digital Alliance, and he also served as chairman of the E-Learning Jamaica company. He currently serves as chairman of PSOJ's Innovation and Digital Transformation Committee. To top off such a distinguished career, Chris has thrown in the mix of his passions a love for wine and wine education. Let's cheers to that. We needed to have some wine right here. Thanks for joining us on the Entrepreneurial You. Hey, Chris, it's a pleasure to have you. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
You know, since a long time far where I come from.
Yes, that's true.
I remember our first encounter when I just got my feet wet in entrepreneurship. So we had this mentorship dinner. I think it was hosted by the PSOJ and Oliver Clark.
So at the time, I was chairperson of the PSOJ's membership committee, and we had this idea and concept of engaging the leadership of the businesses in Jamaica, to have them have discussions and speak to budding members, folks who are just coming in, so members, non-members of the PSOJ. So we call it MELS, Mentoring Emerging Entrepreneurial Leaders.
Okay.
But good thing you remember, yes.
Oh my gosh, yes, and I'm part of that. I'm proud to be a part of that. And I recognize that over the time, you've always supported me and supported other women entrepreneurs and just entrepreneurs in general. Yes. Why is that important to you?
I consider myself an accidental entrepreneur. I got an opportunity. I started life as a teacher and a part-time sound system DJ. And so, you know, when you're doing those things, you're out there hustling and juggling. And at some point in time, you kind of got involved in business, got involved in IT specifically. And then an opportunity was presented to me to become part owner of a company. And then upon doing that, you got thrust into this thing, you start to learn about business, and you realize that this thing is hard, it's not easy. So what has happened is that whenever I see people also at the place that I used to be at, I just try to throw back the lifeline, as you know, my friend Novia McDonald White says, send the elevator back down and try to give anyone encouragement, the tools they need, guidance, or just a listening ear. Yeah, so that's kind of why.
And I actually heard that in the British accent, you know, sending the elevator back down. All right, so what was the 10-year-old Chris like? Did you know that you always wanted to be an entrepreneur?
No, I come from very humble beginnings. Lucy Hanover. My father worked for the government. My mom was mostly a homemaker initially, and then she did administration in various companies. But the fact of the matter is that I started out thinking that I was going to be doctor, all of us, had a doctor, lawyer. My father was a lawyer.
Dr. Reckord.
There's still opportunities to make that happen, right? There's certain folks that are kind of knocking at the door saying, hey, Chris, time for you to do a PhD. There's a fair amount of new knowledge that we need to talk about out there, especially in IT. And so I became a teacher. And whilst, again, teacher by day, sound system DJ by night, and then after a while, I was teaching electronics and electrical principles. And what happened is that at some point in time, I had an interest in computers. I did a little programming course, was programming like a Commodore 64, and got very interested in the whole IT situation. And then I kind of moved. And in moving to get involved in IT, that's when I kind of realized, okay, there is something here. But being an entrepreneur at that point in time, didn't think at that time I was going to have my own company. But then got invited to a startup, and one of the owners said to me, look, if you come and do well in first year, X amount of percent of this business is yours. And at that point in time, I started to say, okay, what does business ownership actually mean?
When we return, Chris talks to us about his experience as a DJ. The Entrepreneurial You will be right back. Welcome back to the Entrepreneurial You.
I was interested in music. So friends of mine, a couple of years older, they were playing around sound system. Grew up in Mona Heights after moving from Hanover, and friends of mine, pushing speakers in wheelbarrows around Mona, playing at different people's houses with one turntable. So I know that there was something electronic or something with electricity connected to life at that time. Right. I used to, talking about 10, 11, 12, anytime my father brought home a new radio or something,
you're the one.
I was the one to try to figure out how to make it sound better, and I would dismantle it, or I would try to,
You mash it up,
Yes. Oh, Lord of mercy. Calling me out. Yes, I used to mash up a lot of the stuff at home, and it didn't end well.
Okay. Well, it's just all in the name of learning and experimenting.
That is correct.
And all of that, So there was space created for that, obviously. But you said you were a teacher. Mm-hmm. And you also, you were into music, as a DJ and so on. Did you, bring over any of that scale into the classroom, music? Because I know kids learn, when you put music to the lesson, they learn much better. So I don't know if you did any of that.
No, because at the time, you're on a very strict curriculum. You're trying to, but how that part connected was, whether it's happily or sadly, some of the students saw me out on the road playing music, and of course there's that different. They say, wait, sir's a DJ, and oh Lord, then that whispering came into the school, and then there's this. I don't want to call it newfound respect. All of a sudden they look on you different and they start to listen to you more, because there's this cool component to it that all of a sudden that just. So my engagement with them got a little bit better. Right? And whilst I didn't directly use the music, just indirectly the universe lined it up so that at one or two events, I think it's a independent street dance that I was DJing at or something, then some of the students saw me. So it did have some indirect positive.
Right, so positive. That rapport, they build rapport, they could relate to you, there's a level of relatability.
Correct.
Excellent. So we're going to jump over all of these other roads and get straight into tTech. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little more tell us about the business, really. What it does, why you decided to start it, and how it's going. So
quick clarification. So in the intro you mentioned Innovative Corporate Solutions. Mm-hmm. That I started from scratch. I didn't start tTech from scratch. I joined tTech after I sold my interest in Innovative Corporate Solutions. So talk about entrepreneurship. My entrepreneurial ventures included the sound system, right? Mm-hmm. Because there are several friends of mine that are still in sound system business. That's they started that. That's their bread and butter. Yeah. Somehow I always had in my mind sound system as a kind of part-time thing. So I never ever thought of that as being long-term. But then the opportunity presented itself to again start this IT company, and I did. That was Innovative Corporate Solutions. And I spent 10 years, well, 9.8 or whatever it is, almost 10 years there. And then at that point in time, I sold my interest. And there was a moment, because while I was doing that, I'd started the wine bar at Devon House, right? I'm sure you remember that.
Oh, yeah, because I was at Devon House too, right?
Exactly. So that was going on. So when I sold my interest in innovative, I kind of sat down there looking in the ceiling, trying to figure out what I'm going to do next in life. And of course, one of the questions my wife asked me, what's the plan? I said, darling, the universe will provide, right? And of course, she looked at me like I was absolutely stark raving mad. And I don't know if you've ever read this book by Paulo Coelho, Alchemist. And said the universe conspires to help you. So you know, not to get too much into law of attraction and all these things, but you kind of put out, okay, here's what I need, here's what I'm looking for. And I said, I have done a fair amount of work in the industry, and I think I can still help a lot of people. So, the question was, okay, so Chris, who are you going to contact? I said, no. I said, somebody's going to contact me. And that person did contact me. Teddy Alexander gave me a call. He was the founder, and he's currently the executive chairman of tTech Limited. And he said, hey, Chris, I hear that you're not at Innovative anymore. Can we talk? And we spoke, and then the rest is history. I bought interest in tTech. So I joined as a executive director formally, with responsibility for sales and marketing at the time. And then at that point in time, we started hatching plans to list the company. The company we did an IPO December 2015. We listed on the stock market January 2016. And we're still growing, double-digit growth. I think we have had my last calculation, I think it was a 17% compound annual growth rate over the last 10 years. So far, so good.
Yeah. All right. So interesting story. So maybe we need to jump back to Innovative Corporate Solutions. The teething pains, the start of it, what was that like?
I think the start of that is very similar to many startups. There is the cash crunch. There are moments when you wonder where's the next salary package going to come from, because we started with a team of about 18 people. And there were times when, the contracts weren't coming through, because we were a break-fix organization, a VAR, value-added reseller. The IT world is filled with acronyms. tTech is an MSP, managed service provider. Right. Majority of our work, over 80% of our revenue, services, versus Innovative, where it was flipped. Majority of our revenue was from selling stuff and from near-to-box services. And so issues were around, your relationships with suppliers, ensuring that you're getting the right suppliers to the customers on time, ensuring that the service levels that you're promising the customers are delivered. Some of those challenges still exist, and ensuring that there's a continuous revenue stream that you can pay the customer. But there were ups and there were downs. There were moments when things were, it caused tension between me and my partner, because his idea as to what should be done to keep us afloat versus my ideas. I now realize that I'm more of a visionary. I have 500 ideas when I wake up every morning. So I now understand and realize that I need in our operating system, because we have a specific operating system that we currently run our company. I need an integrator with me all the time. So I am the gas. I need some brakes. But you have to get to that place in life that you understand that. And if you don't understand that, and if you have business partners that everyone thinks that they should be running the show, you're gonna end up in problems. And I think that's maybe one of the reasons why I had made a decision to depart my first company that I conceptualized, and I started, and I invited my partner to join, and then I eventually sold my interest to him, and he's doing great with the business.
My guest today has a unique mix of knowledge on all things tech and wine. We delve more into his story when we return from this quick break. Welcome back to the Entrepreneurial You. Today we feature the visionary Chris Reckord as we zoom in on how he has been able to form successful technology companies through strategic partnerships. So before we go into the whole strategic partnership, we kind of, alluded to earlier, but this wine thing, how wine and all of them things are tying together?
So I lived and worked in the US, And
that's its excuse.
the folks I work with, some of the team members, they were avid wine collectors. And we spent, in the IT business, there's always long nights. And several evenings they leave, went to dinner, went out with these guys a couple of times, and they're waxing poetically about all this wine stuff. Like, what the hell are these guys talking about? I go home to my wife and I said, darling, look, we live in North America. There's a course on everything. And we found this course, 2 universities close by.
There's an app for everything.
There's an app for everything.
There's a course for everything.
There's a course for everything. Mind you, this was almost 20 years ago. So the app thing wasn't so big.
Right.
But we found courses. And I went and did a wine course, a sommelier course, learn how to become a sommelier. And it was at one of the US's top culinary universities. And so I did that. It was a night course. And kind of drove home a few evenings. I had to really focus on the road, but it was North America. I realized Chris is not living in Jamaica anymore, so you have to balance out. And that started it. The interest in wine came about. So what I found though is that when you have something to speak about that is not tech related, it's a fantastic conversation starter. But I've always had a conversation starter because remember, being a sound system DJ.
Right. So you know you have more than one. No, you have at least two.
So a lot of my folks knew me from sound system days. Lots of relationships you built from there, and then now you end up into this wine thing. Another set of relationships you're building again because it's a different audience, and so that's kind of how they tie. Because what I've even done a number of times is host wine tastings for customers, and there are folks that call it for IT, and then by the way, at the end of the conversation, by the way, Chris, later such and such, make a recommendation for some wine. Now, where can I go get it? And cut and paste, send them some email with some wines, and so it's delivering value. It's just always trying to deliver value, whether it's playing music for a friend's wedding, giving a recommendation for wines for a friend's wedding, or that same person owns owns a company that requires IT, making a recommendation for their technology. So for me, it's just always continuously delivering value.
So Chris, you're involved in music, tech, and wines and all of these things. What would you say to those who would want you to focus on just this one thing?
So the thing with being entrepreneurial, you're going to realize that you have a bunch of interests, right?
Oh, yeah.
And when you have all of these various interests, at the beginning, you kind of get crazy, you're doing everything. But as you learn and develop on your tech leadership courses, and yes, you do learn about the focus. But again, to each his own. The fact of the matter is that there's some stuff that bring a tremendous joy of just fun, and wine does that, right? Music also does that too. So when I stand up there and playing music, now my sound system DJ days was from late 1970s all the way up to like about 99. So I kind of formally stopped that. So I'm not doing the night and day. No. 4 or 5 years ago, the great DJ Squeeze draw me out and using the term, and we did a little, North American tour. And I got back into the DJ life for a little bit, and now is when you start crossing the lines between you have your 9-to-5 job, and then Friday evening I'm chasing from the office to catch airport, to reach Toronto, to DJ at a party, to fly back in Jamaica Monday morning, to hustle to the office. After 2 years of doing that, I called boss man, I have to focus. I have to focus on the 9-to-5. This was nice and fun, great project we had. We created a brand, it's still going strong. The fact of the matter is that there's some stuff that I said bring a joy. There's some stuff that is the 9-to-5. The 9-to-5 is the IT work, the wine work. It's a we talk about multiple streams of income. It's another stream of income for some sort of enjoyment. With a little trickle in that is there. It used to be a full business, but guess what? I started focusing on the 9-to-5.
Absolutely. So it has its place. You just know when to, unwind.
Yes.
No pun intended. I want you to. Right. All right. So what is it about technology that keeps pulling you in?
I guess for the entrepreneurial mind, if you do any of the assessments, whether it's a Colby assessment or DISC assessment or Myers-Briggs assessment, you realize that we like change. We like this continuous change. And technology is forever changing. And if you have the value first mindset or the go-giver mindset, and if you've ever read that book, if you have the go-giver mindset, it gives me the ability to be continuously giving back to that customer. Because I may have come and help a customer with implementing some technology. It served them great for the next 5 years. And then, hey, I'm back again to now help you take it to the next level. Right? So there's this continuous change, continuous giving, and a lot of people need help. And so, I guess being a teacher, that is the teacher in me, always giving advice and helping with that. So I think that's why it does. And I just love tech. I just love remember when Father used to buy the radios and the sound system?
You mash
I was pulling it apart.
Dismantle it, mash it up.
So it's the same, you get the technology, you stress test it, you play with it, you learn how it works, and then you say, okay, I can now translate this from the complexity to the simplicity for the business person to understand that I'm talking to. So it's that whole engagement and excitement that I enjoy.
Right, and along that journey, no doubt that you've had many high points, many successes. If you could pick one, what has been that for you?
More on the Christopher Reckord is sharing some very poignant lessons he's learned on his entrepreneurial journey. Welcome back.
Wow, that one kind of hard, but if I were to pick one success, I guess it would be well, I cannot pick one. So creating an organization from an idea that became real, that you hire people, you're actually sustaining families, and you realize that that's a responsibility. You're realizing that you're contributing to the economy and contributing to these folks' lives. I guess that is one thing. So that's when myself and my partner had created Innovative Corporate Solutions. It was from an idea. It came out of another company called Innovative Systems Limited, which I was also part owner for, and that still exists. Both of those organizations are still there, and so yeah, it is. I guess that success was birthing another company from an existing company, having to be able to have the partnerships with the same vendors, with the same customers, and taking it to the next level. So creating something from scratch, I guess, felt good. And I guess joining tTech and helping to take this company as Jamaica's first 100% fully Jamaican-owned entrepreneur organization public on the junior market. Was also a highlight and some success in that too.
And that's about 5 or so? All right.
No, man, that's just 2. I just talk plenty, that's all.
All right, so it seemed to me, because I can relate to, Pato Apparel being the first business that I started, and it feels to me like it's one of the highest points of my entrepreneurial journey, so I can totally relate. Just taking something from the ground and seeing how it kind of just blossom or fail or whatever, whatever direction it goes. All right, so let's talk about, because we know with every success there has to be some level of failure, right? And I put failure in quotes because I don't believe in failure, right? Teachable moments. So what has been the most significant failure for you?
I would say, I'd mentioned a few times, I'd started this organization called Innovative Corporate, still around, doing well. And when I had to make a decision around departing the organization or making a decision to buy out my partner or sell my interest to him, to get to that place, and why we got to that place and all the various emotions that got into that place, I initially, at the time, considered it, wow, here I had this dream to build this big organization, and then we build something, decent. And initially I thought it was a failure. I kind of had to do a lot of soul searching and introspection and really dig deep to say, okay, what am I learning from this? What is the God, universe, what is the creator trying to teach me here? Slight side story that during that whole decision process, I was actually held up at gunpoint. And, when I looked down in the barrel of that gun and then the man told me to run, I don't know, somehow I connected that whole message to go, to leave. And I connected everything together, rightly or wrongly, and I, having got out of that situation and went home and gave thanks for life, all of a sudden everything changed. I just looked at it different, I felt differently, and I said, well, okay, I'm getting a message here, I'm learning something here, it's time to move on. And I moved on, and I think life has been fantastic since.
Right, so your main lesson from that is?
Oh Lord, the main lesson from, a key lesson from that coming out of that is that, after I got the call to help join tTech to take it to the next level, all of a sudden you reflect and realize that, what Paulo Coelho says in his book, the universe conspires to help you. And you have to be still to hear the message. You have to get to that place where you can calm yourself down and just really and truly just allow the various messages to come in, and then you have to try to figure out how to filter and listen to the right one. And so the main message was there, look, and you said it a while ago, every failure or what appears to be failure is a teaching moment. just be open to it and listen to it when it happens.
Yeah.
So that's one. I mean, there have been a few other bumps in the dark, but every one of them, you say, okay, what is this teaching me? What's happening here? What am I to learn from this?
You said something earlier, your experience with staring in the barrel of a gun. And I thought to myself, isn't it interesting how when we come face to face with our own mortality, our perspective on life change?
Correct.
Talk to us about that.
Everything slowed down. You stand there, you're looking down in this thing. The man is shouting something to you. There are two of them. One is rummaging through my pockets, one is around my neck. I just stood there and I started thinking about my children. I started thinking about my wife. I started thinking about, and what's interesting is that nothing about work comes up, nothing about these other things that were boring come up. It's just what's going to happen here to me, what's going to happen here to my wife and children. And that's what I thought about. And my eyes almost feel just thinking about it. And time slows down. All of a sudden you realize that this thing that we rush around called time really and truly doesn't exist at that point. And everything just gets into massively slow motion. And you sit down there and what you think might have been, 10, 15 minutes is actually either a lot shorter. Time just disappears and it gets discombobulated. And eventually when the man told me to run, several things, again, your brain is calculating, all right, is he gonna shoot me now? Because I've heard these stories before, what's gonna happen here? And weird as it may sound, there's this voice that whispered to me that today is not your day. It just popped in my head, today's not your day, just keep running. And I ran to the end of the road and there was a gentleman up there who saw some of what was going on. He was actually on the phone to the police. And I actually spoke to the police, I told them what happened, told them where it is, where I live, and the rest is quote unquote history. I'm still here to tell the tale, but it just kind of shook me up around this is priority, not that, not all of this noise. And yes, I run a publicly traded company, I have shareholders and I have investors and all of that. So, but even with all of that and that responsibility, there's still something underwhelming that, hey, that's a moment in time, you have this responsibility, but this other thing here is more important.
Leadership is hard. So what is that one trait that every leader needs to have in order to be effective?
So I remember that series we spoke about, the PSOJ MELS event, Mentoring Emerging Entrepreneurial Leaders. I myself had some mentors. My current chairman had organized for Danny Williams, for example. I sat with Danny Williams once a month for just about a year. And one of the things that I learned is the art of communication. Communicating the mission, communicating the vision, communication of the culmination of the greater good of the company from the top of the business to the bottom of the business, right? And that is what I think, with all the other things, with influence and the team and the people, we always hear about the people, but if you can't communicate and communicate crystal clearly and be okay with repeating the same thing over and over and over and over and over again till you get to the place where as you're about to say something, people make fun of you to repeat what before you're even about to say it. That's when you know that you've kind of gotten through. So it's communicating the mission and the vision over and over, and every quarter when those objectives and goals change, you have to keep communicating that over and over again and driving the urgency of it. So that I think is the underpinning of all the other things around leadership, around influence, all the other things that you mentioned. But I think for me and my personality, communication.
And what do you want your legacy to be?
I'd like for people to say that he has contributed, he has made a needle move with XYZ, whatever that XYZ is. So right now, with my, I guess I call it my give back. I do sit on a few government committees, boards, and I try to make sure that once I'm sitting on that committee or board, I'm asking questions that are relevant to either A, making sure that the organization moves forward, but B, I am also sharing my experience and how does technology, because a lot of times I'm there because of my technology understanding, how is technology moving us forward? Quick case in point, one organization went in, they had a bearer dropping board papers everywhere, switched that to all digital, right? Saying, guys, press of a button, everyone gets the board papers. We can easily review, vote on things using technology. So it's just moving the needle with all these various, constituents that I have to be involved in. So that's it.
Very inspiring, Chris. Thank you for spending time with me today.
Thank you for inviting me, Heneka.
Absolutely.
It's been fantastic.
Absolutely.
Coming up, we hit the streets to get the views of Jamaicans on our topic of the day, and we highlight another business trend you'll want to pay close attention to. Welcome back to the Entrepreneurial You. The Entrepreneurial You, voice of the people.
How much do you think the dancehall industry is worth?
Millions of dollars, man.
Billions, millions.
Overall, entertainment industry is worth trillions. So the dancehall industry itself, a billions it worth, Take for example, reggaeton come off a dancehall, hip hop come off a dancehall, and they are making billions.
Around billion.
Well, I think it's worth a lot, like surpass any amount of money you think that it's worth because of the impact that it actually puts on the world. Without dancehall, it's really boring.
Well, can you really put a price on dancehall though? But we know it probably worth some good trillions and stuff. I mean, meaning that you have artists that are constantly coming into dancehall, and then you have those that just vanish after a while. But they can't really put a price on dancehall.
The dancehall industry, for me, it is very difficult to put a value on it because I believe Jamaica culture, dancehall music in particular, has quite a bit of value. And so it is hard to put a figure to it, but maybe about 5 billion, thereabout.
In terms of US dollars, I think it's worth billions. Based on the culture alone, in terms of Jamaican, easily trillions of dollars.
New marketing strategies are helping to drive the evolution of small business advertising. Traditional print and TV media are seemingly moving at a crawling pace to converge with new media technology approaches, leaving them a few legs behind in the race. Today, we look at 2 advertising trends business owners should be following closely and how they can be used to extend the reach to customers. First, let's look at why it is important to have an interest in advertising spend. 1, knowledge is power, and 2, data is gold. Staying ahead of the curve when it comes to marketing and advertising offers several benefits that help businesses gain a competitive edge, improve spending efficiency, and customer satisfaction. No doubt there is value in staying on top of the latest statistics, but what are some of these new tendencies? Let's zoom in. First, podcast advertising. A Nielsen survey found that podcast advertising is expected to grow to US $1.33 billion in 2022, and Apple estimates that there are about 520,000 active podcasts. With podcasting on the rise, it's not hard to consider that businesses will divert ads to the popular platform with increasing listenership. While podcast advertising may not be right for all brands, it does provide a new avenue to communicate to engage listeners. And shameless plug, the Entrepreneurial You podcast still has a few slots remaining for advertisers. 2, QR codes. Quick response code as a marketing tool is growing in use, and it's definitely a cost-efficient way to interact with customers. One can make a free QR code online to offer additional information about a product, service, or promotion to customers who are simply required to just do a quick scan. That scan takes the customer to whichever landing page the business owner chooses, whether to a website, an Instagram account, or WhatsApp, or whatever. So, if you are looking to capitalize on some digital marketing opportunities that are expected to redefine the way we connect, go ahead and further examine these to see if they are the right fit for your business. Still to come are startup stories and inspiring business tips. Welcome back to the Entrepreneurial You.
My name is Onel Williams. I am the owner-operator of a trading company called Essential Goods and Services Trading. We have a brand, food development brand called Nellas Foods, whereby we basically innovate and create alternative food items, food options for health-conscious individuals. Our most popular brand right now is Nellas Tenderonis, which is Jamaica's first sweet potato pasta. It is a vegan-friendly, low-gluten pasta product, and that's my company, Nellas. We are an award-winning Jamaican food innovation, manufacturing and export company of super value-added, health-conscious food products using indigenous Jamaican and Caribbean food ingredients. Our product lines include, but are not limited to, dry pasta, pasta sauces, alternative flours, dried snacks, and beverages. I would say the inspiration for starting a business was an opportunity to kind of express myself creatively in terms of like product development and ideas, how to market and sell, and how to communicate. In time, after leaving my corporate job, I was looking for opportunity to get more involved on a marketing side and a sales side, and I guess the opportunities weren't coming fast enough through the regular channels. So then I just basically ventured out and create. In terms of a dream for the business, so our vision basically is that we rethink food. That is our tagline. We rethink food. So when we say that, we say we rethink food, we rethink traditional food options by reimagining them into healthier and sustainable food products for consumers using indigenous ingredients. What do we mean by that now? We would like to be able to basically convert a lot of the food ingredients that we have in Jamaica that has grown bountiful, ease of growth, access to, but probably not being used as much as it should be in terms of creating value-add products from it. So we have a lot of traditional indigenous food that is commonplace to Jamaica, but we don't seem to have the ability or probably the attention span to kind of convert those foods into more super value-added products. That's where we come along. So along with the research and the development and the help of the food technologists and all those who partake in the process of creating these ideas and help us to think of what is possible. That is a part of our mandate. So it's almost like we're not just a food company, so to speak. We're almost like a incubator, accelerator, R&D lab, for lack of a better word. So we're basically, hey, how could we convert this great food item into a healthier food option using what we have here in the middle? So that's the basis of our operation, bar none. Within the next 10 years, we would like to become the Grace, Wisinko, Alaska, Seprod of the millennial generation in terms of our tastes, our expectations, our beliefs, and our sentiments towards sustainability, food security, a lot of those issues. So that's what I really want, and have the vision for Nellas Foods to be. That's Nellas Foods JA. That's on all your social media handles. That is Instagram, that is Twitter. We're on Facebook under Essential Goods and Services Trading Limited. But like I said, we're on Instagram, the most popular one, and we're on Twitter at Nellas Foods JA. You can also find us at our website, Nellas Tenderonis. people ask me what does tenderoni mean. Tenderoni means actual tender macaroni. But it's Nellas Tenderonis at gmail.com and nellastenderonis.com. That's NELLASTENDARONIS.com.
So at Redefining Wealth, we have these 6 pillars, right? Faith is the 4th pillar. And people would always ask me, well, why isn't faith first? You said you're a Christian woman. Faith should be the first pillar. I said, no, because I know my people. My people want to use faith as a crutch and then not do the work. The reason it's the 4th pillar is because the first 3 pillars require you to do the work. If you believe that faith without works is dead, right, then you have to show up and take personal responsibility and participate in your own rescue. Because you can't just pray about it and set it and forget it. Like, you should give God something.
Can you please say that again? Because Jesus, like you're not of God if you say that in certain circles. You know that, right? You're of the devil.
Oh, I know that. I speak at churches all the time, so I've gotten the looks. And some people, half of the people will cheer and clap, and the other half will be very upset.
Yeah,
and that's okay because I'm there to plant the seed. And I'm there to remind you that it's your duty and responsibility to give God something to bless, and that you cannot use prayer as a crutch for not taking care of your finances. Like, at some point, you have to know that God is tired of you praying about your light bill. Like, that is so basic. And I'm just saying this, I may get up there and he say, why did you tell people that? And I'd be like, God, that was my interpretation, right? But I believe in the parable of the talents, and I believe that we are all born with a gift, a talent, a skill, something that God gave us freely to produce wealth. And it is our responsibility to exercise that and use it in the world. And unless you are putting forth that effort, knock it off with the complaining and whining. Knock it off. Like, it's not even fair. Like, you live, especially nowadays, we live in a time where information is so readily available and out there for us that it's our job to go pursue it, though. It's not going to walk up to your door, knock on the door and say, hey, here I am. You have to be relentless about pursuing it. And like I said, and I say this over and over again, I believe that God knows what you're waiting on when he sees what you're working on. So give him something to bless.
The questions that ought to be asked, the essential insights to be shared, and the empowerment that needs to be spread start right here on the Entrepreneurial You. Thanks so much to my guest, Christopher Reckord, for being willing and ready to contribute to this conversation as he helped to unleash the entrepreneurial spirit in you. Today's word of hope is from Psalm 90, verse 17. May the favor of the Lord our God rest on us. Establish the work of our hands for us. Yes. Establish the work of our hands. What good? Join us next week for another set of thought-provoking conversations with leaders, captivating features, and an opportunity to unleash the entrepreneurial spirit in you.
The Entrepreneurial You was brought to you by JPS, powering what matters.